you start there when you're 17, and now here you are, the general manager.
That's insane.
Isn't it crazy? And I don't know that there will be many people that would argue this. Probably the greatest masked wrestler of all time.
Obviously, I give credit and respect to those that came before me. My uncle being one of the most important ones, because without him, I would not have this name, carry it, honor it. And before that, the legends like El Santo, Mil Máscaras, Blue Demon, these guys paved the way for us to eventually get to where we're at now, to see Lucha Libre, the evolution, and how the sport is just so not only now beloved in Mexico, but worldwide now. Which is crazy.
It is nuts. It's crazy. People ask me, who my favorite wrestler was growing up as a kid. It was Mil Máscaras. He used to go to Paul Bosch's Houston Wrestling, man. Yeah. And that's when I was a kid, man. I just thought, man, with all the mask and the different mask, and it was always like, which mask is he going to wear?
Yeah.
And I had a crazy moment where, so I remember, obviously just being a huge fan of his as a kid, and then when I was in WCW, he came in, he was still working, right, and I came in and I was like, holy crap!
This was like mid '90s, early '90s,
yeah, early 90s. 89, actually 1989,
okay.
Yeah. It was like 2 times that happened. That was with Mil Máscaras and with Andre.
Oh wow!
Like I remember as a kid, like going. They used to do at the Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston.
Yeah,
they would do the live interview segment. So like that's when you could get out of your seats and then run around the podium where Paul Bosch would do the interviews.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly Andre coming down. Like the Andre toured. He went to all the territories, right? And he was in for 2 weeks. And I remember him coming down and like sticking my hand out, and his hand, like it was. Yeah, I think I was. I don't know, maybe 11 years old, 12.
Were you a big boy back then?
I was big, but not. I mean, I was I was like an 11, 12-year-old kid.
Right.
And I just vividly remember how big his hand was.
Yeah.
And like it was one of those like movie moments where I was just like staring at my hand.
This is what a giant looks like. Yeah.
But it was crazy to have those moments.
Yeah.
With people watching him as a kid and then getting into the business and them still being there. And it was just like,
oh, it's got to be crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. And
when you were talking about Mil Máscaras, I remember being a kid, when my uncle would take me in the locker room, which was random, and he happened to be there, I would sit and I'd be waiting to see if that mask would come off.
Have you not heard this story? When I talked about working with him?
No.
In WCW? This is no lies, in San Antonio. I worked with him. I didn't work with him. I was on the same card with him, right? So he worked before I did. And then I worked and I came back and I had to drive somewhere else. So I go into the shower. Bro, he's showering with his hood on. He's got his gimmick on. So I'm over here and I just kind of keep looking over my shoulder because he was in the corner. And then like real quick, like he took his mask off. He put it on the like the cold water. It was like it had a double spigot kind of thing, a double handle there. He takes his mask off, boom. He washes his face and everything real quick, rinses it off, and puts his mask back on.
With his back towards you, right?
Yes, so the whole time. Yeah, like it was at a hard, straight angle. And I was like, dude, to me it was cool. Like he was protecting his gimmick. Yes, even to I was just like, wow. Okay.
And you were already a grown man.
Imagine I'm a grown man.
Trying to figure out who he is.
Yeah.
Like that whole mystique of wanting to know who's behind the mask it's very
legit.
As a kid, it's very intriguing.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm sure now for you're kind of all these young kids that, are coming up through AAA.
Yeah.
And got to know your journey to, it's funny because I don't think a lot of times, like when I'm somewhere, I don't think of, okay, you're the Undertaker. I'm just there, right?
I'm the same way,
right? I don't ever think about it.
I don't put on my character hat like every time I'm. No, I am who I am. That's it.
But other people don't think that way, right?
No, yeah.
It kind of
They
blew
see
me
you
away
different.
when I started going down there, and like every time we would be leaving TV, everybody wanted to take pictures. And I'm like, and then I have to
Right.
okay. There's a reason, right? But
Right,
I don't think that way. I'm
Right.
not in that frame of mind. But man, it is really nuts. So when you left Mexico, what was the first territory you went to?
So from the age of 14 to 17, I would just do local shows, bars in LA, underage. So they would tell me, don't take off the mask. Make sure you go in there. Just chill there. If they tell you or ask you for an ID, just tell them, I don't speak English. I speak Spanish. No hablo inglés, perdón. So Conan did a lot of those bookings for me. And I got to wrestle around my uncle and Conan and Damien 666. But then when I went to Mexico for the first time, it's like, okay, we're gone. Saved money. Here we go. We're on our journey. We want to become wrestlers. We want to be on TV every week. Because that's what I was watching at that time, CMLL, Arena Mexico. That was the big show. And then until AAA kicked off, that's when now we had a competition. Now we had the WCW and the WWE during that time. So just raised money. They were going through paperworks. In the meantime that the company got started, they got stuck in between. We ran out of money because we went as a group. It was Psychosis, Damien, another local wrestler from Tijuana, myself, Halloween. It's like 7 of us. And out of those 7, only a few hung on till the very end. Or I should say to the very beginning of AAA. But during that time is when we were living in a hotel. When the money was gone, they gave us a place to stay at one of the wrestlers' gym. So he gave us accommodations there. We would sleep under the ring. Barely made it because we had literally no money. And I remember going out on Sundays and calling Angie at the time from a payphone, like, I want to go back home. Like I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I was crying. 17-year-old kid, doesn't know left from right and just has this image of a dream of becoming a wrestler. That's it. She's like, no, chill, relax. So she said, I'm going to figure it out. She put her career on the side and got a part-time job, and she was sending me a little bit of money until we got things going. Once it kicked off, it's like all the territories in Mexico I ran. Right after the first show in Veracruz, it was like every week, 4 or 5 shows a week, 4 or 5 shows a week. And it was just so much fun because this is something that you're really passionate about and you want to learn and you want to get the fans to know you and who you are and what you do and just create this image of a wrestler of what I grew up watching, which was my uncle, and it started unfolding, little by little, doing 12, 15-hour bus rides to wrestle one night. As soon as you finish, hurry up back to the bus station because the last bus is about to leave. You got 30 minutes. Let's go. Go to the next town.
Yeah, at 17, I mean, that's a really young age to be able to try and process all of that stuff. I mean, you were just living with your parents and, things are taken care of. And now you're at 17 trying to figure out, like, obviously we don't know everyone's story, but do you think, I always think that, that those kind of situations and coming up like that always helped me. Like, the grind of survival on top of trying to learn the craft and to be successful and not really it's so much information and stuff to take in. I don't know everybody's story, but I think that element, and I think it separates a lot of people a lot of times in how well they do in our business because they've really had to suffer and had to evaluate, just like you said. Like I called Angie. I was crying. I wanted to come home.
Yeah.
It's like, those are moments that make or break you.
Yeah.
Like you have to either, like, this is so ingrained
Right.
in you. It was like, I know for myself. Yeah, I'm living in my car. I'm bouncing. I'm doing just about anything that I can do.
Yeah.
Because I left college. I had a full ride basketball scholarship. Everything was taken care of. I got it pretty easy. I got to make,
to a certain degree, that's probably a little bit more difficult because you already have a plan, and right?
Yeah,
and you let it go in order to follow your dream.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, and two, when you do things, especially, you're gonna wait. I'll never forget my dad, who later became my biggest fan and supporter. But initially, it was like, wait a minute, son. Wait, you have a free education here.
Right.
You can go and get this degree, and all you have to do is put a little ball through a hoop and keep your grades up, and you're going to walk away from all of that. And I was like, yeah, Dad, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Wait a minute. Like he just could not understand it.
Right.
And then obviously trying to be what he thought was leading, or, giving me the guidance that I should have. Like
any
you
stupid?
father
would do, right? Yes.
Right, yeah. Are you dumb?
Yeah.
Like you have it all right here.
Yeah.
And you're going to go and be a professional wrestler? Like what's that going to do for you? Right. I'm like, well, Dad, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to do for me, but I know it's here.
Okay. I was about to ask you, was there something deep down inside that just told you,
yeah,
go this direction?
And I had no idea,
right?
Where I would end up and what I would be able to accomplish. But I knew that was the avenue that I wanted to take.
Right.
And again, like from my family to my coaches and everybody, it was just like,
right,
this guy's the stupidest guy on the planet. But again, and because of all that negativity, then it was like, oh no, I'm proving you all wrong. And then I got hard-headed and like, no, I'm not going to accept any help from anybody.
Right.
Because, after the fact, like, okay, he's gone from school and, he's struggling. My parents like, can we do something for you? And I was like, no,
I'm good.
You don't believe in this. You don't believe in what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm going to do it on my own.
Right.
Which was probably, I mean, now, it was, I wish I could say, I had the I did the right thing. But like, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Like, I had no job, no training, nothing to do. So
I wonder if there's something out there in the universe that makes you believe in yourself to the degree that you take the path that you feel you should take, and that eventually turns into a very successful path, which we don't, I mean, there's nothing that can confirm that. Like I go back now and watch videos of me wrestling in AAA, like the first couple of shows. What did they see in me? Like, okay, I had a mask and I was doing some pretty, but it was like, man, I was so green.
Right.
What is it that they saw? I don't know, something that I didn't see.
They saw enough, right?
Yeah,
they saw enough.
I guess, right?
And it encourages you again, like, well, I don't know anything. They know something.
Right.
There's got to be something here.
Yeah.
And I think too, we're our harshest critics too.
That is true.
Right. So you have, when you go back and you look at that stuff, you look, okay, well, this is where I'm at now, and this is what I've done, and these are all my accomplishments and all of that.
Right.
You don't have that then. You don't see it. But it's incredible. And going back to it, I think, I think everybody like, oh, I think I can do that, or I can do this. But when we're met with challenge, a lot of times that's the make or break.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, this is too hard. And there's that certain thing in certain people that say, I don't care how hard it is. This is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Where sometimes people are like, well, I really want to be this, but I don't want to I don't know that I can put that work into it or that struggle and overcome that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what separates people from being, from being good to being great to being legendary.
Yeah.
And I think that's just something that some people have in them. And And thank goodness you had it in you, man.
I tell you, the first person that saw that was Conan. I mean, without him, he was the one that was opening up the doors for me to be able to go where he went. He took me along with him. So,
and I was about to mention that he believed in you from day one. And
yes,
I mean, if you think about wrestling friendships, that's got to be the longest standing, which I'm sure he's family to you now.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, my gosh, y'all been together since literally from day one.
I met him when I was 11 years old. Wow. My uncle, he came down, he was big, jacked up dude, was in the Navy, was boxing, and he came down to Tijuana and wanted to learn wrestling, him and his friend. And in little in no time, like, they turned him into a wrestler, which if you would have told me back then he's going to become one of the biggest stars in Mexico, I'm like, come on. But eventually he took the risk. Again, another guy that didn't know enough, but was willing to take the trip and be in the mix with all the top Mexican superstars at the time and take the beating in order to learn and to become who he became.
And let me tell you, he killed that induction speech for you.
Oh, my God.
Wow, that was so good.
Oh, yeah. I'm so honored that he was able to. I said, that there's nobody that knows me better than him.
Yep.
And sure enough, the moment he said, if she loves you, she'll wait for you. And she did. She waited. We got married.